Hello, everyone. My name is Max Morrow from Lumos Learning. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. Sharon Attipoe-Dorcoo. Welcome.
Thank
She
you.
has written a children's storybook, Koli and Bosco, the dog rescued from the fire. Congratulations once again. I'm looking forward to learning more about this exciting online oral proficiency component to your book. So, before we get into all of that, I just have a few questions for you, and I'm sure that our wonderful viewers would like to hear them as well. Could you please tell us more about yourself and why you decided to write stories for children?
Awesome. And thank you again for having me today, Max. It's really a pleasure. To start off with your question, so I'm a mom of three kids, and I've always wanted to share the love of reading with my children. I've always read, and always, as far as I can remember, I've always penciled something down. I have a few things that are not being quite finished and not being quite published, but it really became very clear to me as I was penciling these, especially at that time when I was pregnant with my first child. There was lack of sleep anyway, so it was something to do. So I wrote this around that time. So this was around 2009, actually, to think of it. And really, when it became evident for me that I wanted to print this or actually publish it, there were three things that I wanted to bring out. And that is to ensure that the next generation, my kids' generations, and hopefully many more, can think of the core values of the three core values that I think are really essential. And I think for them to also think for their age group to still think that they're cool, and that's community, friendship, and just being good neighbors. And if anything has taught us within this time frame of this pandemic, is that these are humanity values that we need more than ever. So those were the reasons why.
Great. Awesome. So who or what inspired you to write this story?
Yeah, so first will be the hero of the book, Bosco the dog. We actually did have Bosco the dog at some point. And he was our first baby, is what we like to say. So it really was a dedication to him because due to some changes in our family, we actually ended up having to let him go. He's now living happily with a vet. Couldn't get any better than that. And then lastly, it was a desire to just, like I said, I've always written. So at that time I was pregnant, I wanted to write a gift for my daughter at that time, but now it's actually a gift for all three of my kids. So those are really the two reasons of who and then what inspired me to write the story.
Great. So can you just tell me a little bit more about the setting and the purpose of the book?
Yes. So the setting is really supposed to get kids to chuckle. It's called Wiggle Town, and my goal in my mind when I had it, it's like every time a kid reads it, it goes wiggle with the Wiggle Town with the wiggle. And really, it's just to bring again back to those core values, make it more fun for kids to read, and also hammer those core values of community, friendship, and being good neighbors. So those are really the
Amazing.
intent behind that.
Amazing. So why are you so passionate about helping kids become fluent readers? How important are these reading skills for children's overall development?
Yes. Well, the lived experience of being a mom and being an advocate to help my kids read is definitely one that instills that passion. And additionally, evidence has shown that kids that read are successful across all subject areas.
Mm,
And when you think about communication, really being able to ensure that kids are able to, at a very young age, be able to creatively seek out imaginative worlds, if I may, and being able to think of and create different things that are possible. And I think that's where it starts from. And additionally, being able to communicate that verbally. So not only are they envisioning these things, but they have the words that they need to be able to say it out loud and convey that information out is very important to me.
awesome. Awesome. So what made you want to take this story to the Lumos Reading Buddy platform?
Yes, very great question. We all know that virtual learning has taken root in current times. And I used to enjoy going out to schools, libraries to read my book, and it really was fascinating and enjoying for me personally. And since that is not as, I'm not able to do that as much anymore, I figured, okay, kids are switching to virtual learning, so it's just another mode of expanding ways for kids to engage with my book. So that's one. And secondly, I wanted to, even in making the choice of the organization, I wanted to build a long-lasting relationship with the organization. So when I started having conversations with the Lumos, I truly admire the way that my voice was really respected and how I wanted things structured. And the goal of this is to make it as inclusive as possible. So being able to have dialogue around that and ensuring that how I want this book represented is accounted for and how things are done. So those were really the two things that, again, helped me decide on, okay, going on to the online medium route and also which organization to partner with.
Great. So you talked a little bit about the course and how it all flowed a little bit together. So what role does, and particularly a part of this course, the vocabulary practice play in improving reading fluency? And how does a student practice vocabulary using the Lumos Oral Fluency program?
Mm-hmm. So my toddler comes to mind when I think of this question. You can just watch, and obviously I've had 3 experiences, but I guess it's now more relevant with knowing what I learned from the older 2 and then the younger one right now. So just the repetition of words, and it just, I can just sit there and think and imagine how the brain is malleable and absorbing the words, and it just keeps repeating and repeating. And I think that's really sort of how this plays out, right? Kids go onto the learning platform. The kids are able to read initially the context or the text in the book. Mm-hmm. They read it out loud, and then they get to play around with words that they've learned in the book. So there's that visual as well as the auditory component, and that speaks to different styles of learning as well. And once they have a chance to play around with the words, they have an understanding of what it is, they actually get to hear the AI technology that is built and read the same text back to them. So again, that repetitive nature to it. And then finally, they go back and reread it themselves. So you see a continuation, and then parents can really tell what the progress from when they started to the end really looks like for the kids.
Awesome. So it basically follows like teacher modeling, which is great, which what they would have in school anyways. So yes, it's a great way to do that online. That's amazing. So yep. Who really benefits from the oral reading fluency practice? Will it help emergent readers as well?
Absolutely. And like I said, you're able to delve into different modes of learning, right? So you have the visual aspects to the kids. When the AI technology is reading the text out, kids can trace the words with their eyes. Mm-hmm. And then they're also hearing it. So it's almost like a combination of hearing and listening and seeing what it looks like, helps retain that information for them. So absolutely.
Great. So I just have a personal question for you. What does the future hold? Are you coming up with more stories for children?
Yeah, that is a go. So when I started Koli and Bosco the dog, the series, I planned for it to be a series. So this is the first adventure, Rescue from the Fire. And my kids, actually my older kids, have in the past toyed with the idea of giving me some plots. So potentially they might help me write the next one with their names on the front page, but we'll see. Needless to say, it's supposed to be a series, so stay tuned for other chapters in the series.
Great. And just one more thing I have to ask you. Would you mind reading a page from your book?
I would love to.
Amazing.
Okay. So this is from page 14. Again, the backstory we've sort of skipped over. So it's Koli and Bosco the dog. Koli is really this old woman. Best friend is Bosco the dog. And I'm going to show you this. I do this all the time when I read to kids, just showing them the picture so they can get a feel of what the pages look like. Okay, so here we go. On one of their regular morning walks, Koli and Bosco the dog went by a house and saw smoke rising out of the house. There were big, dark, round puffs of smoke coming out of the house. Bosco the dog, upon seeing this, started barking wildly to draw attention. Some neighbors who heard the loud barking came out to see what all the noise was about. They came out and saw the smoke, and most of them rushed toward the house together with Koli and Bosco the dog. A man rushed out of the burning house and asked someone to call 911. One of the neighbors called 911. The man then rushed back, saying he had to go back into the house to help his family. The end of page 14.
Great. And to be continued if you go and find on Lumos Learning using the Reading Buddy program. We thank you so much for your time. From all of us here at Lumos Learning, we are so excited to be working with you, and hopefully in the future with these series of books. For everybody here watching, if you want to find out more and find more from Dr. Sharon Attipoe-Dorcoo, you could see it on Lumos Learning using the Reading Buddy program. And we would love for you guys to join for the rest of the series of books when they come out. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.